Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Yeah. That's right. It's all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can follow us on social media up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
You probably recognize Grant's chest hair as the former head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team. Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
You've seen Skip Wow, HGTV's House Hunters, and also he's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
Great episode. Yeah. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Gerald Madrid, a bail bondsman.
Yeah,
here
get
in
it
Albuquerque.
right. This is my friend's dad.
This is going to be a great epi right here. Gerald Madrid from the bail bondsman, and we're going to talk about the industry. Some mind-blowing stuff going on.
Well, we want to clear up the misconception about like what's going on with the city and like, how people are released. We're going to tell you exactly why.
Yeah, it's a good perspective, and there's a lot of things I didn't know, but also a lot of things that are going on in the news that now actually make some sense once we get some perspective. And then obviously stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite.
Marriage saving.
Skip's tips.
No more divorces.
That's right. Grant, dude, you know what? Missed you this weekend. I was out and about. With the ladies.
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah. Can we play? I'm going to bust you. Where were you out and about?
I've been saving my money. Took my wife out to a little place called Stoneface.
Oh, what are you, rich?
Yeah, not bragging. 2-for-1 Long Island's and a punch. Got some toofies and a punch in the dick. Here's. I think that's what they serve at the door when you walk in.
Let me tell you something about that place. I used to try to like almost always fight their bouncers because I would have a tank top and they would go no gang colors. I go, well, it's a white tank top, and you want to go?
Yeah, you in the white tank top.
Yeah, the old gang color white.
Yeah, gringos. No, but yeah, we went out. We did a little date night this weekend, and then we ended up at Stoneface. Saw a couple of the hockey boys.
Yeah, I know. And my favorite thing about so Skip is kind of like adopted into like our hockey culture, and like the boys every time they see Skip, they love him so much, and they're like, "Oh, look at who I'm with." And I'm like, "Well, you guys are idiots." But let's freeze. I'm gonna give him some credit. Look how good his hair is.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah, your hair's looking.
This is what a gentleman looks like,
dude. And I love that Mark did that.
We have a whole staff operating behind the scenes.
There's 19 cameramen picking that up.
Yeah, I got blue and blue going.
No.
Zoom in on that. Oh, you don't have to.
That's no. There's no more compliments this season. But the Skechers.
I got some new sketchies. So, a couple things going on in the real estate market in here. You've been reading all these things about these big box stores going out of business and what's going to come in and fill these big warehouse spaces, right? But it's not uncommon here in Albuquerque. So there's been a few businesses that have gone out of business, allowing for new business to come in, grow, and expand. So Bosque Brewing Company is set to open 3 new locations in Albuquerque. They just opened one in the Heights right by our house.
Okay.
And it's a brewery, but also good food, good little date spot.
But where is it? Oh my God! You know what I like about breweries is look how nice they look.
It's cool, right?
Yeah, it's a nice architecture.
So,
but where is that?
That one's I think in Bernalillo. But they're repurposing. Hold on, to go back to my point. They're Bosque Brewing set to open 3 new locations in Albuquerque, repurposing defunct businesses. The companies will move their restaurants and brewery concepts into buildings that previously housed Applebee's, Duke City Beaches, and Lava Rock.
But aren't
Brewing
you a big Applebee's guy?
I was, they really just changed their menu, you know?
And I'm so mad right now. Yeah. The thing is, though, like when you see strip malls have vacancy or like it looks desolate, and it's kind of alarming. Like you do not want unoccupied places. I mean,
if you've ever been through, if you've ever been down Central recently, through like San Mateo area, all the way even up to almost Fort Hills, almost every building is just empty and boarded up and razor wired, and it's an ugly sight, man. It's an ugly sight.
You never really want that for any city that has that. There's trouble. I mean, there's squatters and or people that light Old Navy on fire. That did happen. Yeah.
Is that something you took place?
Yeah. So the one time I lit Old Navy on fire, it was
used to be real good with matches until I went to Old Navy. Yeah, got the sweater section.
But like the one place that I think is susceptible to that is San Mateo and the freeway, where that is. I mean, there's been a lot of buildings that are actually abandoned, and so like no one can fill the spot. I think the one thing that gyms love strip malls because they go great. We have 9 million square feet. I mean that's a natural progression for gyms to go good. We have an opening, and can never be enough gyms
or enough breweries. So thank you, Bosky Brewery, for opening up some more places, man. But I wanted to talk about a couple other things. It is 2024, so let's talk about some market predictions, nationwide, but also locally. See kind of what the trends are and what people are leaning towards. So, number one, I'll let you speak to this, but my prediction is mortgage rates are going to level out this year, even come back down. And I think we saw back in October, we were sitting at 8. And what are we looking at right now?
Yeah, so Skip and I rap about, you're about to purchase, right? So, and we've had several customers, and there was a point where 8% was what the market was doing. We're approaching low 6s, and so for a lot of people that's not exciting. But if you're in the market right now, low 6s is a blessing, right? I mean, that's great because you're probably saving about $170 a month, But and I think we're going to get into the low 5s. We will probably, if I have my crystal ball, I don't think we're going to get into the 3s ever again, ever.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It doesn't make sense. And we saw what it did to the housing market. I mean, it was fun for a while, but after a while, it's just like, dude, somebody pump the brakes here. This is getting ridiculous.
Well, yeah, if there's 11 people bidding on a house, you don't win, right? People go, I'm going to wait till it's okay, go ahead and bid 19 more times.
Yeah, so for context, I think the last time we saw 6.5, 6.25 was 2000, maybe, I think was what my note said.
When I first, actually Skip was a mortgage broker before, and we just used to play magnet darts because no one was actually helping us. But when we got on the market, 6.5 was the savior. It was a good rate. So people were refinancing at 6.5. I think people got so acquainted with low rates that they don't have an accurate depiction about how much what a rate ought to be. So 3 was an anomaly, and we will never see it again.
Next prediction is, when you look at home buyers that have a 3% rate, or homeowners, they're not going to sell that house now, ever. But now that we're seeing rates come back down, I think they did a study, about 80% of the homeowners across the country have a 5% rate or less.
Is that the median?
Yeah, no. Okay. Well, I mean, they're less, 5 or less. So when we get down into the low 6s, it's more palpable for a seller to go, okay, I'm at a 4.8 or 5. I can sell and I'll buy again at a 6.25, whatever it is. That makes sense. So what that's going to do over the next year to 3 years is going to unlock some more inventory finally.
So
that's my prediction. Number 2 is that buyers are going to have more to choose from in the upcoming year to couple years as rates come down.
I mean, there's a lot of we call it a pipeline in our business. There's a lot of customers that are waiting to purchase. But I don't want to call them out, but half of them, I have this unreasonable expectation about what the contingency is. I would need my rate to be at 3, and I'm like, well, then you will never get out of your house. I mean, that's just people have to realize this was such an unreasonable, fortunate time for you that but it can't be repeated. And the reason is, even if the environment and financially duplicates, Fannie Mae has taken more out of the profit. So you even if the conditions were the same, Fannie Mae will not give you the same rate.
Yeah, they were pretty slim for the past few years. So, last prediction, I think house hacking is going to become more of the norm. So what do I mean by house hacking? It's going to be a way for you to afford more house, meaning a recent Zillow survey found that 39% of recent home buyers say it's very important that they have the opportunity to rent out a part of their home, whether it's an extra 4th or 5th bedroom or maybe have a casita in the backyard. to help bring in some more income that help maybe help you afford more of a house. So those starter houses, what we're going to see, I think, coming up is instead of buying, I mean, my first starter house was, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and when it was dog shit.
19 tumbleweeds.
Yeah, but I think now buyers are saying, you know what, I want a starter house to be a 5-bedroom house so that I can rent out those downstairs 2 bedrooms and use that income to offset some expenses.
It's a California concept, right? I mean, that's standard out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a buddy Doe, and there were like 2 different families living with them and within the household. So.
Yeah, well, 55% of millennials and Gen Zers said this is what we want in a house. This is, according to this survey, is that.
Oh, like that? That's the culture they're starting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean
what
it
makes sense.
Want.
But is there a statistic about like how the millennials don't leave their parents' house? Because there's that too. They don't find it prudent to leave, but I don't blame them. But keep in mind, not attacking you millennials. It's hard to buy a house now. I mean, it takes a lot of money. But how many millennials have settled on like, okay, I'll just stay here.
Yeah, why not?
I don't care that my mom yells at me.
I don't make my bed. Who cares? So yeah, that's just a couple of things that I think that's going to be the prediction. But here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Did you want to do a mortgage minute?
We're going to do a mortgage minute. I'll do another one on ARMs.
Okay.
There's not going to be too much invested in this. In the yesteryear, adjustable rate mortgages actually had this huge, discrepancy of ongoing mortgage rate to going rate. ARMs aren't there yet. So a lot of people are like asking, I have a lot of customers asking me like, can I get an ARM? And I go, yeah, but it's going to be 0.5% lower. And that didn't used to be the case. So a lot of things go into it, the index funds and stuff like that. But like right now, ARMs aren't a good choice. They just, the risk reward ratio is off. So wait a little bit, but ARMs aren't your dog.
Let's talk about ARMs though. Did ARMs this morning, bro. Got me into the right.
We can't see through your anchor blue shirt.
Light it on fire, guy. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned to the next segment. Gerald Madrid of Madrid Bail Bonds is in the house to talk about bond reform, what that means to our city, our crime rates, and our local economy.
And some clarification about what's happening.
Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We know it's bad.
Stay tuned. This is the YouABQ podcast.
We're back.
Hey, welcome back to YouABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Yeah, he is. Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage.
We're joined today by Gerald Madrid of Gerald Madrid Bail Bonds. Now look, Albuquerque's been an absolute shit show, a revolving door of crime, and it's in the news, people are talking about it. But let's get a little behind the scenes on what's going on with bond reform and learn a little bit more. So Gerald, thank you for coming on the show, man. You're a wealth of information when it comes to the topic. But first, before we jump into it, I want to talk about your backstory because El Dorado graduate, you grew up in Albuquerque. Talk a little bit about your backstory and kind of how in the heck did you even get into bail bonds, man?
So my dad retired at Kirtland Air Force Base back in 1976, I believe it was, and got out of the Air Force. And then he had to get a different career. So he went into real estate, and that was way too slow for my dad. My dad was a shaker and a mover. He had to be on the go. So I had an uncle back then that was a night bail bondsman for one of the other bondsmen here in town. So he asked my dad one day, hey, do you want to partner up and let's go in together? So my dad and my uncle partnered up and they opened up an office together, and it only lasted like 6 months because they couldn't get along. My dad was very military because he just got out of the military.
Sure.
My dad was the type that he could stay out till 2 a.m. drinking and be back in the office at 6. Didn't matter.
Impressive.
The coffee's on, the lights are on, everything's on. And my uncle would show up at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So they didn't get along. Yep. So they separated, and that's how we got the bail bond business, and that was back in like 1977, right around then.
Well, the bail bonds business, as I'm coming to find out, to learn, has made a few different changes over the years, and most recently, they went through the state of New Mexico was kind of where it started, the bond reform, and that's really kind of thrown the whole industry on its head. In fact, you're one of, if not the last bail bondsman in Albuquerque.
So this whole idea of bail reform started at the national level. Eric Holder, the former, I think, Attorney General of the United States, came up with this idea of bail reform because, again, in his words, the system was just not fair. people are in jail just because they're poor, and that's it. That's the only reason they're in jail. So what he did is Eric Holder called someone from each state Supreme Court to Washington and kind of trained them in this idea of bail reform. So New Mexico sent the Chief Justice back then, his name was Charles Daniels, to Washington, got trained in bail reform, and he brought it back to New Mexico. And late Chief Justice Charles Daniels then went around the state presenting this idea of bail reform, and that we have to get away from what he calls money bail, that people have to buy their way out of jail. And people are in jail only because they're poor.
So the argument essentially was the fact that I commit a crime, I go to jail, I don't have enough money for, number one, to get out of jail. So now I'm stuck in the system, I'm missing work, now I'm laid off, so now I'm continually, like, the system's keeping me down. I lost my job, I still can't afford to get out. Even if I do afford to get out, now I can't afford an attorney because, or I had to give all my money to the bail bondsman, so now I can't afford any type of representation.
Was that the contention? Was that
was the perception.
Okay.
However, here's the thing. Before bail reform, somebody commits a crime, gets arrested, they go to the county jail, and there's a bond set on them right at the time of booking. They can post that bond, or they can wait in jail and see the judge the next morning.
Okay.
If the judge thinks that person is not a flight risk, is not dangerous to the community and all that, the judge can release that person on what's called own recognizance, what I call a promise to appear. The judge can do that. The judge has all the power to do that. Now, if the judge doesn't do that and thinks the bond is appropriate, then the judge would set a bond. And there's a reason why the judge would set a bond, because he thinks maybe the guy's not going to come back to court, he's dangerous, he's a flight risk, or all the above. So the judge would set a bond on some people and release others without a bond.
Well, so they look at your background, your history, your propensity for being a knucklehead, but also what you brought to the table is that you're just an insurance policy saying that Grant's going to show up on Monday and make sure he's going to show up in front of the magistrate. You're the insurance policy that brings him back.
And the system worked well, because the judges were releasing a good number of people on a promise to appear back then, and then setting bonds on the rest. And those are the people that we dealt with. The ones that the judge thought may not show up with nothing in place.
Like risk evaluation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so they have a risk evaluation that they do, the judge does on each offender.
Okay.
And that's where we come in. And then the family comes to us, and we, after a consultation, we say, okay, I think I can do this. And we'll say the judge sets bond at $1,000. That's what I'm required to put up, $1,000. And that's not funny money, it's not play money, it's real cash that I put up.
That's coming out of your pocket.
That's right.
Okay.
It's real cash.
Yeah.
So for me doing that, I charged a 10% premium or fee.
Yeah.
That's how I made my money, was the 10%. Now my job as a bail bondsman is to make sure that my client shows up at each stage of the proceeding until the case is over. It's not just show up the first time, plead not guilty, and then run out and I'm scot-free. No, I'm on the hook till this thing is over.
Yeah.
And in the interim, if that offender skips town or doesn't show up court, it's on me.
Okay. Yeah. You're incentivized, right?
That's right. It's all about money.
Yeah.
Now I got to do my job, which is go out and get him, because we have powers of arrest. Go out and get him and bring him back into the system.
Let's talk about going out and getting
present him to the judge.
Who's doing that?
Yeah.
Who's your personnel?
Nobody now, because bail reform got rid of the bounty hunters.
Before, so you had powers of arrest. So by the way, I saw you walk in with a little bit of a hip holster going on.
I open carry all the time.
Look at him! Look at him! Okay, and so
this is why I never said much to his son, because I thought I was going to get killed.
No, I open carry because I'm not a felon. I have a right to carry.
And is that because of your business, or is that because you're an American?
Because I'm an American citizen, I'm not a felon, and I have a right to carry. Now I use common sense about it. I'm not John Wayne. I'm not the police, but I'm not going to be victimized.
Let me give you my stance. I'm a Canadian, and I don't own a gun, but I don't think other people shouldn't own a gun just because I don't want one. And that's the thing. That's for me. It's like fairness, right? I mean, it's just because I don't want one doesn't mean I should preclude other people from having one, right? And that's kind of a thing an issue I have with people, because they go, I don't like it, you can't have it. That's not.
I took the concealed carry course last June at Calibers. I took the course, I qualified, I got my license, I open carry. Again, I use common sense. I'm not looking for a confrontation. That's not my purpose. Matter of fact, I even left it in the office. I didn't bring it.
That's actually why I don't have a gun. I think everyone might be dead.
Yeah.
With my temper, yes.
Left it at the office. Anyways, back on this topic. So again, this whole idea of bail reform got started at the national level, got set down in the states, and not all the states went with it. New Mexico happened to go with it. And our Supreme Court implemented bail reform here in 2017.
Okay.
And overnight, it's like flipping the switch. It put all the bondsmen out of business because the judges in Bernalillo County refused to set a bond on anybody. And I don't care what the crime is. They either hold them in jail with no bond indefinitely, or they release them on a promise to appear.
So there's a resounding feeling like Skip and I all feel like that. I think we're pretty fair guys, and we're kind of in the middle in politics. But everyone can't understand how this has come to be. Like everyone's really unhappy about how the people are out there in the next day. You know. So how do we get out of this?
The only way to do it is the New Mexico Supreme Court can reverse or undo what they did. They have complete power to do this, but they refuse to. And in my opinion, it's all politics. This is a one-party state, top to bottom, from the governor all the way down to what my dad used to say, the local dog catcher. It's all a member of one party. And if you're not a member of that party, you're not welcome. You're not in. Yeah. And I'm clearly not a member of that party. Yeah. But it's a one-party state, and the ones in charge, they must like what's happening because they don't change it. If they didn't like it, they do something about it.
What do you think we could reverse this? Like, what do you honestly think that this could, like, we could make a change?
There's two ways to do it. The New Mexico Supreme Court can undo what they did. Right. They could get rid of bail reform and implement bail back into place, secured bail. Yeah. Or the New Mexico legislature can do something about it, but they won't do it either. The political will is not there. The last couple of years, there's been all kinds of what they call tough on crime bills. They kill their own bills.
Yeah, that's a funny concept.
Then they table or kill their own bills. Yeah. You know, they put nothing out. Whatever they put out is fluff. It doesn't mean anything. And I know in advance when I see the bill, it's not going to do anything, because they want to enhance a sentence on a DWI and say you're going to get 5 days instead of 3 days in jail. That's on the back end, but there's no deterrent on the front end. Mm-hmm. And the main thing, again, the purpose of bail is to get people to show up in court so that justice can take place. And again, I don't deal with guilt or innocence. I deal in getting clients to court. When the judge says be here, my guy better be there, because that's my job.
That's articulate. There's been so many instances of a guy being released and doing another crime, right? And we talked about this before. The UNM baseball player, the guy that did that was already in trouble when released
by a local judge.
Yeah, and he got released and he killed somebody.
That's right. And his family should be suing the state of New Mexico. They should be.
So one of the main differences I hear is that before bond reform, you were the insurance policy that made sure that it was not a revolving door at the jail, that the criminals were held accountable, showed up on time, and then, you know, if they had to go back to jail, they go back to jail. You were the insurance policy. With bond reform now, what I hear you saying is that the state has basically put it in the judge's hands to just say, hey, if you want to give them bail, you can. You don't have to. In fact, don't even bother giving them bail. Just let them go.
But how is their discretion that bad?
But so the judges now have the ability to, if they do have the ability to still issue bail, right?
Then why aren't they?
That's a great question, and I can't figure it out. And I was telling Skip earlier, the bail reform rules are statewide. However, the judges do have the discretion of setting a bond, what I call a secured bond, which is backed by real cash. This is not fluff money. A secured bond. Mm-hmm. They can set it. They refuse to. In this county, in Chaves County, the judges they're setting bail like crazy in Chaves County.
So what happened? Is there a culture? Like what is happening? Is inadvertent culture that's happening that says no bail? Like
the judges in Bernalillo County, and I still can't refuse to set a bond. Even the defense lawyer, the DA, everybody can be asking for a bond, and the judge, nope. I'm going to release him OR, own recognizance.
I don't understand.
Yesterday,
that.
I got a call from a family. They said that their brother, whoever it was back in jail on a drug possession charge from last summer. He didn't show up in court on, and he picked up a new drug possession charge. And I said, well, guess what? The judge released him on both.
Oh,
the failure to appear and the new charge. They said, we don't want him out of jail.
That's a hard thing because
we don't want him out. I said, well, you should tell the judge that.
Yeah, there's a discretion thing, and you could actually recognize propensity, in my opinion, right? I'm not a judge. I don't know. I didn't get my JD, but like you have to register. This person has a pattern. Are we going to like keep him here? Or are we going to wait till he does his 19th offense? I mean, that's
and you know that's what they're doing. It's like these judges, they have no common sense. It doesn't take a lot of brains to figure out that this guy's either a flight risk, he's a danger to the community, or both.
But I just keep going back to this. But who makes money by having these criminals not in jail?
Nobody.
So what in the fuck are we doing? Why do they keep letting them go?
It's the judges. The judges are to blame.
Why do they want that? I mean, what can you dig deeper? Why?
I think the politicians of the state want this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this. They want the chaos. They want the crime in the street. Because if they didn't want it, they would do something to change it. But they don't.
Yeah, I know. But it seems too rational. Like that to be the answer. To be like, like why isn't that happening? Like why? I mean, that's a.
Grant, you mentioned a while ago. You drive down Central from Four Hills down to San Mateo, what do you have? Homeless, panhandling,
Yeah.
boarded up buildings. All that's a part of bail reform. Because these guys are cycling in and out of the jail, and they're not worried about it. At most, they're going to be in jail overnight, and they're right back to doing what they were doing when they got arrested.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing
And
is,
it's all over.
the thing is, like, probably like your position would pander to like being right, and I'm actually a little bit more of a liberal, but like I absolutely agree with everything you're saying. Like, this just makes sense.
It's common sense. You want to clean it up?
Yeah.
And you see, but again, what I have to say, you won't hear from anybody else involved in the system.
Right.
You won't hear from anybody else.
You're not an elected official.
No.
You're a guy who's trying to hold
Because
on
you
to
can
his
actually tell the
business.
truth because
I
of that.
can see what's happening.
Let me check with our sponsors if they're going to be offended.
We have
Yeah.
we
There's
don't have
nobody-
just peanuts.
We don't
There's
have
nobody, get a judge in here, and they're going to all sugarcoat it. Well, we're just following the rules from the Supreme Court. Get a public defender in here, get someone from the DA's office. They're all weak. The DA's office is weak. You asked me about Sam Bregman a while ago, the DA.
Yeah.
He's not in favor of bringing the bail bondsman back. He thinks the system is working fine. It's blowing
But
up.
how can he actually
No, but
substantiate?
because I believe he gave an argument on the news that he was trying to push for no more catch and release. Let's keep these guys in jail. At some point, it's got to give, and I think that was kind of his stance. Is that's what they brought him in
Well,
to do.
and so that's where they're getting a legal challenge. So, and again, I'm not saying keep everybody locked up in jail. I'm saying for the judge, if the judge doesn't feel this guy's a flight risk or danger, then he should earn a free release. If the judge feels he's not, then the bond should be set on him. Or thirdly, the judge can hold him without bond. If he's really, really violent and really a danger, the judge should hold him without bond.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a theory that says if you know the best way to explain something is non-justifiable, let it play out. And so we are here right now. I mean,
We're 7-8 years into this bail reform social experiment that's been a failure at every level. It's not working.
So honestly, how can we as a consensus how do the masses change this? Like, what can we do?
The general public the only thing we can do is have a change in our politics in this state. Because the politicians in place right now and the Supreme Court, again, they're all of one party, and they're not going to do it. They must like what's happening because they choose not to do anything. They just ignore it. They know what's happening. They read the paper. They see the news like we all do. They see social media, and if they didn't like it, they would do something about it. So they must like it.
It's troubling, and so I don't want to get too nerdy, but I do believe in referendums, and referendums don't happen that often. But referendums is when you let the masses actually vote on a topic and let everyone weigh in on it. And we don't have any referendums lately. And they basically go, "Do you want that or do you want this?" And so, like, you don't really get to have much impact. But I'm going to sound like a colonial guy.
Now, there could be, the way bail reform came in is that it was put to the voters. And what the backers of bail reform were going to say, well, 85% of the people voted for it. They didn't have no idea what they're voting for. They have no clue what they're voting for.
Have you ever tried to read one of those voting pamphlets?
Oh my God! By the time you get done, you just go leave.
Especially if it's like one of those like, projects that the government's working on.
Do you want this is the Royals and then go to the pine
Like,
trees
what?
and then like,
You voted to kill owls.
Okay,
after
what just happened?
After the first sentence, you're done.
Yeah.
So anyways, and that's what they're going to say. 85% of the voters voted in favor of bail reform. 85% of them had no idea what they're voting for. Put it back on the ballot and watch how quickly it gets reversed.
Put it in English.
I do think it would be like that has to go back out there. People are very unhappy. The
Absolutely.
consent, everyone is unhappy.
I'll
about
tell
this.
one story. Just it's very much on topic. I was shopping at Nordstrom's Rack. Not
what are you,
rich? But I walked in and there was a gentleman there, dressed okay, but he had 4 stacks of Nike shoes and a couple things of clothes. And I just started watching him. I'm like, this guy's weird. All of a sudden, this gal comes out and gets in his ear, and then boom, they just start stuffing clothes and just take off for the front door. And I'm just shaking, going, there's no way this actually is happening in Albuquerque. Security guard wraps him up. But what really fucked me up, what really messed up my head, is that the criminal was just kind of like, just stiff-armed him, just kind of walked to his car, like, I don't care, nothing's gonna happen to me. And I think that's when it really hit home. They're like, yeah, he's so confident.
They learned all that through bail reform, Skip.
Yeah.
There was no consequences.
That's right. The police aren't even going to show up because the police have to prioritize their calls.
And there's so many of
That's
these
right. If they have a
happen.
911 call going, they're not going to go after a guy that's stealing tennis shoes. They have to prioritize their calls.
Yeah.
I've talked to shop managers. I know a guy at Walgreens used to manage. He said, we stopped calling the police. Because sometimes they'll show up the next day. Did you call? Yeah.
Yeah, that happened 2 days ago.
Yesterday.
Great, yeah,
The
everything's
police stopped
gone.
coming. And that's why you're seeing sometimes off-duty police officers at Walgreens. But the security guards there, they're powerless. They stand there.
Oh yeah, but because it's a lawsuit, right? If you
If the security guard takes the offender down, and hurts him, guess who's got a lawsuit coming? That store does.
Let me tell you something. One thing, I was at the Circle K on the Eagle Ranch and Paseo, and one guy was like stealing stuff and a purse. He took stuff and a purse, and I clotheslined his ass. And
you did? In the store?
No, yeah, I took him down.
Well, how long ago was this?
This is 3 years ago. But I was late. I was already late to my hockey game because I was coaching. And they're like, oh, and I can't stick around. Here's my name, here's my number, but I got to coach.
Yeah.
But I did. I smashed it. Oh yeah. Oh wait, what? Let's talk
about
you.
The stuff back?
What's that?
Did he put the stuff back, or did you get the stuff back that he was stealing?
Oh, he fell. Like I don't know. I think it cracked his head up. Like he definitely didn't was
laid
holding
him out,
anything.
huh?
Oh yeah. You know.
Allegedly.
No, yeah, he's seen me play hockey. He knows how I work. Let's talk about crime one time when you were in church. I mean, you're a hero.
2013, I go to St. Jude's Catholic Church. It's up on Unser and Paradise.
Shout out St. Jude's.
Yeah, go to St. Jude's. I'm in the church choir. I'm a flutist, play flute. And 10 years ago, we were at church, and I was kind of facing this direction, and the service is going on over here, and the choir director was over here, kind of about from here to a little past the camera, maybe 5-6 yards out, and there was a guy there that was deranged. I'm not sure what his problem was, and he came to the service, and I didn't see this, but he was about 5 pews back. He just started walking over the tops of the pews right during the service. And then he ran right at the choir. He wasn't coming at me. For some reason, he came right at the choir director. And I don't know why. Still don't know why. And he had a knife, and he went to get him just like this, right during the Mass.
I know. This is crazy.
Yeah, right during the Mass. And he ripped the choir director like this. You know the way you kind of gut a fish? That's what he looked like.
Just filleted.
And then I dropped my flute, and I charged the guy. And, my old wrestling skills kicked in. He was tall and thin, and I'm short. I was able to wrap him, and I swept his feet. In the meantime, he started stabbing me in the back. He got me 5 times.
When Nick told me, all right, when Nick prior guest, Nick told me the story, and I was like, what the?
Yeah, so that happened in church. He got me 5 times in the back, and there was, we had probably 10 or 15 women in the choir. They couldn't defend themselves.
Oh my God.
He was a young guy, tall, probably about 6 foot, and I was able to wrap him and sweep his feet, and I got him down. But then I didn't even know I was stabbed. I didn't know. I never saw the knife.
You don't. It's a blur, right?
Yeah, I didn't even know I was stabbed. But then I'm laying there, and I'm going into shock, and I'm losing. I couldn't breathe, and it was really rough. And then by that, and most of the men ran. Most of the guys took off running.
Do we hate those dudes?
These guys that ran.
Gosh.
Like, come on, dude, I need some help. And finally, when you're fighting, it seemed like eternity.
Gosh.
And again, I didn't even know he had stabbed me. I know it was hurting, and I couldn't hardly breathe, and I was starting to lose, kind of going like this, and
oh no.
And so that's what happened. That's kind of a short version of a long story.
Yeah.
But I got credited with saving lives.
That's great.
And all this kind of stuff.
The reason why I find this to be a prudent story is you are a guy that believes in action.
I do.
And like puts his money where his mouth is. Like a lot of people have this advocation of like what things should happen in proclamations, but that gives you provenance of like, I am a dude that backs my stuff
I believe
up.
in law and order, and I believe in the rule of law. There have to be rules in this community and society, and there have to be followed. And when people don't, there have to be consequences. Mm-hmm. There have to be consequences for any of us. When we step out of bounds, there's got to be consequences. So that's what happened. That was in 2013. But anyways, yes, I appreciate that.
That's great.
It's a story worth telling because it's like this actually happened. The most fascinating things I ever hear in life would go, well, no, this wasn't fiction. This actually
this
happened.
Was at St. Jude's.
You can go to YouTube. You'll find a lot of videos on it.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to pull that up. Mark, pull it up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Mark, pull up us being idiots too.
No, but
on
Joe,
YouTube.
So one thing I just wanted to wrap this up and put a bow on it. I mean, you grew up in Albuquerque, started a business, very successful business. What are some of the the challenges, or what are some of the changes that you just overall want to see in our city to help not only small business owners, but also not only your industry of bail bonds, but talk. Just go. You have the floor.
I have a lot of respect for anybody that starts their own business from nothing and builds it into something. I have a lot of respect for that versus somebody who just goes and gets a job with the government and they sit there for 25 years at the same cubicle doing what somebody else tells them to do. I don't have respect for that. And I know somebody's got to do that job, but I think the government is way too involved in the small mom and pop shops, and you can't get any smaller than me. It's just me. You can't get any smaller of a company than that. I'm by myself.
Well,
It's just
you
me.
had a
I had a staff of
subway.
10.
You have a subway.
No, I got
truck.
rid of that stuff.
Oh, okay.
I had a staff of 10 at my bail bond office.
Yeah.
I had to let them all go. It's just me. So here's my thing, though. The government is way too involved and is way too overbearing on small mom and pop. I can't compete with Walmart. I can't compete with Target. But I'm an expert in my field. I know what I'm doing. I don't need the government to come and tell me what to do. They don't come and pay my bills when I don't have any money. The government's not around when I'm broke and can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
That's my problem to figure out. But that's, as one judge told me, says, that's what you signed up for. I said, yeah, that's right. That's what I signed up for. But get out of my way, let me do my job. I don't need the government. But the government, essentially, they took over my livelihood and my business and no compensation.
That's what I don't like.
They put me out of business.
Yeah, they
put me out of
just
business.
put you,
And for
like, they
what?
took away your livelihood, and that's
what?
kind of upsetting too.
It's very upsetting.
The purpose of your job was not ill-intentioned. Like, it was a good idea, and that's
Well,
kind of
it's
bothered
been
me
around
too.
for a long time. This is not like a new idea. Bail bonds have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not like you're out taking advantage of anyone. The bail bonds is not the guy getting rich. You're the guy that's providing the service, the insurance policy to keep us all safe.
Yeah, and the premise of it is a good idea. We're going to try to make sure this guy has an
held
incentive
accountable.
to come
Yeah.
back.
We got to get him to court,
I
so
know.
that justice can take place. And so, as long as there's an offender in court, then the system works. When there's no offender, everybody's looking at each other. Well, where's he at? I don't know.
Yeah,
Hawaii. Nobody
And
knows.
why would he ever return? Like, why did he just he's
Even
not,
his own public defender doesn't know where he's at because he's on the lam. They don't know where he's at. Now, when I was writing bond, if judge calls Johnny Smith and he didn't show up, the judge says, well, Gerald Madrid's got a bond on him. Let's issue a warrant. Let's forfeit the bond. Boom, I'm in action.
Who used to go get them?
I had past tense bounty hunters. I don't have anymore. I don't need them. I have nobody on bond.
If you get back into business, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it behind the scenes.
It's not what people think
Dog.
it is. It's rough, tough work, and it's dangerous.
Oh, it for sure is.
It's
I mean,
not what it
you're
is.
not dealing with ideal
Yeah.
people.
going up to somebody's door, you have no idea where you are. You don't know what's going to happen when they open that door.
How many? Okay, let's talk about that. How many bad instances happened when you went to collect them? We'll call it collecting.
We call it recovery.
Okay.
We call it recovery work is what we call it. It sounds a little nicer. We call them recovery agents. I mean, I still call them bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Because that's what bounty hunters. But from a professional level, we start referring to them as recovery agents. It sounds a little nicer. So probably percentage-wise, 2 in 10 we have a problem with
Okay.
when we get them, and it could be anywhere from the guy wanting to fight, he wants to wrestle, he wants to run, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever kind of
Okay.
resistance there
Okay.
is. And the bounty hunters have to be trained properly.
Right.
Because we're not out kicking in doors. We're not the police. We're not law enforcement. We don't have the backing of law enforcement.
How do you get them? Do you just
So
wait
it's-
till they leave?
Well, no, that's another whole story.
Okay.
It's another whole story.
Next episode, how we actually get the
How
guys.
we get, no, I can't give away trade secrets. Then they'll know what to do.
Show us some arm bars.
But bounty hunters and us bringing offenders back into the system is what made the system work. Because
sure.
because it's all motivated by money. If I don't get him or bring him back in, guess what? I just lost that amount of money. Whatever it is, 1,000, 5,000, I lost it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I got to go make up now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I make damn sure that my guys are in court. If not, we're going to go get them, and they know we're coming.
What percentage doesn't you don't get them? Like they're lost.
2 or 3%.
Pretty small.
Pretty good return.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's damn good.
Yeah.
That's damn good.
Skip can run pretty fast. If you ever get back, if
that's
we ever
damn
get back
good.
to the bail reform, I think
So
here's your guy.
this whole thing, it's my opinion. It's all politically driven. The politicians in place won't admit it. It's been an absolute failure of a social experiment, what I call it. It's a
I think
failed
we all
social
agree,
experiment.
though. I mean, the consensus
Everyone's
is this
fed
is
up.
yeah, no one is happy.
I've
You know
not
what I mean?
talked to anybody that says, "Wow, this is great."
Yeah,
Why
thank
didn't
God.
we do this?
Thank God they reformed.
God, we should have done
this
this long
bail
time ago.
reform. We are
Nobody
doing
on either
great.
side of the aisle has ever said to me, "This is God, it's great."
The issue is when you don't like what's going on, like everyone feels helpless, like nothing can happen.
People
Like,
don't know what to do.
what can people just go, oh, here they go, here they go, politicians, like no one knows actually how to improve, or they're lazy. But I feel like everything in terms of political agenda, like no one knows what to do.
Right. It takes a lot of money, willpower, courage, time,
It starts at the top as well.
to do that. And it really does. But as long as the leadership in this state remains the same, we're going to continue with more of this. Because that's what they want. Otherwise, they would change it.
There's got to be some backlash.
Now, you're going to get a politician here and there when it's election year.
Season.
They're going to come out. We're going to get tough on these guys. We're going to do this. Yeah, right. And they get in office, and I don't remember saying that.
Everyone likes to say they're getting tough. Like, tell me, like, implement. What's your plan then?
What is getting tough?
Okay, yeah.
These guys, they have no clue.
Just eating beef jerky. We're going to get tough.
These politicians.
I'm so mad.
They have no clue. They don't. I don't get called to the legislature to testify because they don't want to hear what I have to say. Because I'm not the public defender's office, and I'm not the ACLU, and I'm going to tell them exactly what's happening. And they don't ever ask me what's your solution to fix it because they don't want to hear what I have to say.
Can you get in there somehow? I mean,
I have to be like sponsored or invited in.
Can you get sponsored? Can someone help? Like,
Well,
I'm not going to say I can.
No,
do you want help? Oh, yeah. But like, how do we get you to talk?
It's going to take a member of the legislature to invite me as like an expert witness. I can't just show up and start rambling. I have to be invited and be on the witness list.
Sure. Man,
when a certain bill
I would
comes
love
up,
to have this is you're in the first and foremost like on the scene. Like
I'm on the front lines.
I think you need to be heard.
I know what's happening.
Skip, can you get him in?
I know.
I'll make some calls. Gerald Madrid, I appreciate you stopping by, man. That's some great insight onto your business, your industry, and also things that need to change here locally. So we appreciate you coming by. Gerald Madrid of Gerald Madrid Bail Bonds. Dude,
yeah.
Great effort.
We've had 2 consecutive episodes where like people really need to sound in. Like
these are so much topics that are important. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite Skip's Tips. This is UABQ. Stay tuned.
Everyone's favorite. We're back. Segment 3. What's it going to be? Thank you, Gerald, for coming in. Divorce prevention. Skip's Tips is up.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Skip's Tips. Skip's Tips, anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun in real estate or real life. Here's the biggest trend in real estate investment this year, and it's called house hacking. Here's what I mean. Buying a real estate property and renting out a portion of it to help offset income and expenses from that property. Here's one way you can do it. You can buy a fourplex using FHA financing, live in one of the units, rent out the other 3, and essentially live for free. Number 2, buy a larger house and rent out some of the bedrooms to help offset the mortgage payment. This is something that millennials and Gen Zers love to do. And number 3, my favorite, accessory dwelling units, or casitas as they're known in Albuquerque. You can build a guest unit in the backyard of your home and use that income to help offset your expenses in your current house. And did you know you can use some of that income to help you qualify for a bigger purchase? So, for more information on house hacking, let me know. Leave a comment in the section below, share this with a friend, and tell them Skip said so.
I have to say I was ahead of my time. How many roommates did I have? Like probably 24, dude.
Just dudes living in your house?
Just so many. I don't want to brag, but I have a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom. The 4-bathroom
is a 5-bedroom, no? Oh, I guess you have 4 up, 3 up.
I have a shed, but that people shouldn't live
Tough
in
shed.
Yeah, but like I had so many rooms that like all my buddies lived with me, and there was a point where and I had the interest only mortgage, so I was just not doing much sometimes for some years, and just like laying on the carpet and still like being okay. Yeah,
just making money off of the poor. You're like a bail bondsman, is what you are.
You know how I do feel bad about that. When you lived with me, I never turned up the heat. It was like 57, and this guy would just walk around with a bathroom.
Just a slum lord.
Yeah, just ironing himself to stay warm.
Wednesday night, Sunday morning here on the Education Channel. This is All About You, ABQ.
You're watching YouABQ.